the initial change,
Yep.
it's just been, I mean, a frustrating year with injuries, not just to Caitlin, but obviously to Caitlin. DB ultimately ends up leaving.
Yep.
And so that, you know, we already talked about how you need time to gel, you need time to build chemistry. So how frustrating has it been that the chemistry has just, it's like start, stop, start, stop.
Yeah, it's definitely been a struggle. But I think just at the start of the season too, like, you know, you have your start of the season meetings and you're talking. And for us, it was about, listen, like no matter what happens in the season, it's next woman up and you have to be ready. And I feel like obviously struggling with injuries and then, you know, you sign people and then they leave and it's like, listen, like whoever is next, be ready to play because it doesn't matter. Like the games still keep coming. Like you still have to be.
Aliyah Boston recently revealed an unexpected revelation about Caitlin Clark. Furthermore, this isn't about drama or animosity, so don't make snap judgments. This relates to something far more illuminating. Boston stated things about playing with Clark on Suburbs show that the Fever organization surely wishes she hadn't spoken.
It is. Obviously, you never want people to get injured, but the reality is you have to have that mindset and it gives other people opportunity. And then you hope ultimately you're all better for it when the injured players come back. But I'm curious, specific to Caitlin being on the floor, off the floor. And I saw you talk on your own podcast about like the spacing and how different it is. But when you're entering a game, like your mental prep, how does it change? Because it's two different systems essentially.
It is. Honestly, like when C is on the floor, I'm like, listen, be ready to run. Be ready to get out. Be ready because she's looking. She's looking.
Going.
She wants to play fast. Super early in the offense. And like we do that too as well here, but I think sometimes too now without her, like we can get into like a little more half court execution, make the defenses work a little bit harder, first side, second side, third side. And then I think when you have like Kelsey, when Kelsey's playing in transition, get that ball up to her and make her
I've never seen anybody so bouncy.
The kind of unvarnished candor that causes fans to lean in closer and PR teams to perspire. Your perspective of the entire Indiana Fever season will be altered by what she revealed about their chemistry, the pressure, and the reality behind closed doors. I'll give you an overview of the current situation in Indianapolis. Depending on who is on the court, Boston's offensive schemes are effectively too different while playing with Clark.
It's a lot of change.
Yes.
You have a coaching change. Yep. You have it's a big free agency year for you guys. And really overnight, what that big free agency year was, or big change was expectations change.
Yes.
So you guys went from like this up and coming, where it's like you're getting to know each other, to now it's like, oh, they could win the whole thing.
Yeah.
So what was the experience of essentially becoming like, instead of being the hunter, you're now the hunted?
Yeah, it's crazy, but I feel like it was definitely expected. Like, I think number one, like just last year, everyone, like when they see our name on the schedule, even though the year before we didn't win, like we won 13 games or whatever it was. And it was like, okay, well, but then you added in Caitlin, right? And everybody's like, oh, like they're going to be this, and this. And now everybody's like, oh, you know what? We're going to prove you wrong. Like, hell no. Like, that's how it is.
Boston said, listen, be ready to run. Be ready to get out. Be ready because she's looking while Caitlin was out there. She desires to play quickly. That is hardly the language of a coach. That's essentially a teammate acknowledging that they're always on edge, waiting for those unexpected rocket passes that Clark makes. This is where things start to get interesting, though. Boston disclosed that, in the absence of Clark, they actually slow things down, force defenses to use a variety of strategies, and play entirely different basketball. Imagine having to mentally flip between two completely different playing styles on a regular basis as a professional athlete. Times in each match. Boston just revealed that reality. However, if you're enjoying this analysis of what's actually going on with the Fever, please click the like button now before we delve further into what else Boston disclosed. It enables us to provide you with more exclusive content like this. You won't believe what Boston said next about the pressure, I promise.
Everybody's like, yeah, like they got, for us, we always think like you have to approach every season with like, we're winning this whole season. So that was our mindset. And I think when you look at expectations, once again, expectations come from everyone outside. Cause like in our circle, we know exactly what we want to do. We also understand that it's a process. We understand that new faces, new coaches, like different style play for people joining us. It's like people need time to figure it out once again. But when you do figure it out, it's going to be scary. And I feel like that's what it was for us. And that was our approach. And we're still like, listen, we are coming here to win this thing. Like, that's what it is. And that's not going to change no matter what.
Boston truly let free during the pressure conversation. She made a public admission that most athletes would never make. It wasn't just Clark who had to live up to the expectations. They fell on all of them, but particularly on her. Take a moment to consider this. Before Clark even arrived, Boston was the team's mainstay and the 2023 Rookie of the Year. Then, all of a sudden, she is playing in Clark's shadow while bearing the unexpected burden of championship expectations.
Yeah.
I felt like that was like amazing for us because obviously we couldn't predict C being out for this long at least. And so it's like having someone in that runs the point well, can call her own number, I think honestly has been like our biggest blessing. Obviously now with Bibbs, like she's coming in, she's able to stretch the floor. It's like, I think no matter what, everything is for a reason, right? And that's kind of our focus is, listen, like whatever happens, happens, but whoever is here in our circle, listen, like we're here to hoop.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to play. And so I feel like that's just been our approach. Like it hasn't been perfect. There's definitely been injuries here and there.
According to Austin, the outer world demanded immediate perfection, as if they ought to have had telepathic chemistry from the beginning. They weren't given a grace period to work things out, she literally claimed. That's essentially a 23-year-old criticizing the entire basketball community for being unrealistic. Everyone who believes WNBA players always act politely in public would be shocked by what transpired next in the interview. Boston began discussing the roster upheaval and injuries that no one is really talking about. She talked about how players have been signed and then left right away, creating a revolving door situation that has been ruining their cohesion all season, and how Caitlin has been out longer than anyone anticipated. How she said it was harsh. One piece would break apart just as they were beginning to construct anything. She notably noted how they needed someone who could run point with Clark out, and that signing Aerie turned out to be their greatest blessing. That goes beyond roster management discussions. That's a player acknowledging that prayers and duct tape had kept their season together, but there was more to the chemistry problems than that. Boston disclosed something that seems nearly unattainable about how to play with Clark.
The right read, and it's like, listen, and she's scoring the ball at a very high level. And so I think, it's a little bit both, like, once again, like when she's on the floor, like she's looking to get up, people can be like, listen, I don't need to outlet because I know once we rebound, we're getting it up. But I also think it, once again, it's like puts people on their toes because they're like, whoa, I need to find Kelsey in transition. I need to find Aerie now. Like we got to find Sophie and Lexi knocking down threes. Like it's different, but I think everyone is once again finding their own rhythm and that we just did a great job.
You cease needing verbal communication after playing enough games, she added. You can tell when a pass is about to happen by observing Clark's body language, including how she raises her head and places her feet. Boston likened it to getting a sixth sense, which sounds fantastic until you consider how many negative experiences they had to endure in order to get there. Boston essentially confirmed every awkward pass that became a viral lowlight and every misunderstanding that left fans wondering if they could play together. She's also not offering any justifications. According to her, basketball chemistry actually develops through agonizing trial and error that is observed and evaluated in real time by all. After that, the topic of discussion changed to something that no one anticipated Boston would tackle so forcefully. Whether or not Clark is playing affects the mental preparation. It goes beyond simply modifying plays. Boston disclosed that it had to do with very distinct perspectives. With Clark, you're playing at a blazing pace, racing in transition, and searching for early offense. Without her, they're playing an entirely new sport, running half-court sets and forcing defenses to use several actions. In essence, Boston particularly emphasized Kelsey Mitchell and how, in the absence of Clark, they want to get the ball to Mitchell so she can make judgments. When replacements occur, it's a significant strategic change that occurs several times during a game. This is where Boston's integrity reached an additional level. She discussed how they were aware that injuries would be an issue even before the season began. The motto in their team meetings was "Next woman up, no matter what." However, she also acknowledged how annoying it has been when the next woman keeps shifting due to player departures or further injuries. According to her description, they've spent the entire season in survival mode, merely trying to make ends meet while everyone expects them to contend for a title. Official team statements have not told us that story. That is the actual account from someone who experiences it on a daily basis. What Boston's remark regarding expectations truly caught my attention. Expectations, according to her, only originate from those outside of their social circle. They are aware that it's a process and that there will be growing pains with new coaches and faces in the locker room. It's remarkable, though, because she also disclosed their inner thoughts. They still think they're going to win it all, in spite of all the chaos. According to Boston, that hasn't changed and won't. That's either extreme confidence or a necessary delusion given how tumultuous your season has been. Perhaps it's both. Indirectly, the Sophie Cunningham problem also came up. Boston discussed how players like Sophie and Lexi Hull are now essential for making threes and creating space. Although Boston didn't state it explicitly, it was strongly indicated that Cunningham's shooting has become even more crucial now that Clark is gone. That's the kind of admiration for role players that typically stays in the locker room, but Boston made it public. Boston just subtly acknowledged that Cunningham has been carrying a heavier offensive load than anyone is aware of. However, this is what about Boston's disclosures that drew my attention. She described how Chloe BBY came in and stretched the floor right away. For those who don't know, Bibby has been battling her own injury problems. But when she's well, she's made a difference. Boston asserts that everything occurs for a purpose. When talking about these roster changes, it sounds like she's attempting to make sense of the turmoil, almost as if she's persuading herself that this instability would somehow make them stronger. When an athlete's season is going awry and they are unable to publicly acknowledge it, they perform this kind of mental gymnastics. When Boston talked about the learning curve following Clark's death, it was the most illuminating moment. She acknowledged that early in the season, there were passes for which she was just unprepared. Consider that admission. An all-star center and former Rookie of the Year essentially stated that she was unable to handle passes from her point guard. That is not a sign of weakness. That's the truth about how great Clark's vision and passing ability are. Boston talked about needing to acquire entirely new instincts, learning to anticipate passes that the majority of point guards would never try. She gave the impression that you had to rewire your basketball brain to play with Clark. Boston's nuanced critique of people's snap judgments was what most startled me. She explained that they couldn't play together since every bad possession was recorded and shared on social media. She didn't sound resentful. Rather, she was annoyed that others didn't realize that basketball chemistry took time. She should have compared it to NBA super teams that take months to come together, but she didn't. At first, the Heat's big three had trouble. When Kevin Durant joined the Warriors, they needed some time, but the fever was meant to be great right away. Boston pointed that out. If that makes sense, without really pointing it out. She mentioned Boston's personal pressure, but she didn't go into detail about it. You can sense the burden she bears by reading between the lines. Boston represented the future of the team prior to Clark's arrival. She is now the co-star who doesn't receive credit when things go well, but is blamed when they go wrong. Although she didn't state it directly, you could tell by the manner she discussed pressure and expectations. That must be mentally taxing, particularly for a young person attempting to leave their own mark. Boston also disclosed something else that went unnoticed. She discussed how their entire dynamic was altered by recruiting several players in the middle of the season, not only on the court but also in terms of communication and leadership. Someone must be in charge of educating new players the system when you're continuously integrating them. Boston seems to have been bearing that burden. She said she was pleased when they signed certain players because it relieved pressure on particular places. However, it also means that she has been acutely aware of every flaw and hole in the squad this season. Boston hinted at how their defense looks different with different lineups, but the defensive changes haven't received much attention. They play one way because of Clark's gamble on steals and fast outlet passes. Without her, they are more conventional, more structured. Boston essentially acknowledged that in an effort to win games, they are picking up several defensive strategies on the fly. It's similar to attempting to construct a plane while in flight, but with everyone observing and critiquing each stumble. Boston's outlook on the future is intriguing. She sincerely thinks they're getting close to something extraordinary despite all the drama she mentioned. She said, "When you do figure it out, it's going to be scary." Discussing their potential. That optimism is important coming from someone who has been open about all of their challenges. She either sees something in practice that we don't, or she's become an expert at thinking positively in seemingly insurmountable circumstances. Boston's timeline is also significant. She essentially acknowledged that they're still figuring things out. Well into the season, the Fever are still experimenting and getting to know each other's inclinations, whilst most teams have already established their identities. Boston gave the impression that they were trying to compete while simultaneously developing chemistry that ought to have been established during training camp. Our perspective on their victories and defeats is completely altered by that setting. Before we conclude, please make sure you are subscribed and click the notification bell if you would like to receive future insider breakdowns like to this one. We're providing you with the true tales that lie beneath the news, the things that athletes typically keep to themselves. This is the main point. We have received the most frank evaluation of the Indiana Fever season from Aliyah Boston. Probably will. She didn't sugarcoat the difficulties, didn't seem as though everything was ideal, and didn't discriminate against anyone. Rather, she depicted a squad battling ongoing roster turmoil and injury issues while attempting to live up to unrealistic expectations. Perhaps more impressive than if they were dominating is the fact that they are still competing in spite of everything. Boston's disclosures demonstrate that drama and conflict aren't always the true story. It's about experts attempting to make things work in extremely challenging situations. The Fever's road this season has been far more complicated than anyone imagined, according to what Boston disclosed.